Welcome back, everyone, to Through Black and White Eyes for the second show tonight. But this is going to be a cracker because I know we've had a shit time after last night. So what do? I bring you SoCal Geordie to Through Black and White Eyes to reminisce Chelsea, Man United, drinking, getting drunk. And who else is going to be there? Of course, it's my co-host, the best, John. Loves his Greggs, loves an orange juice when he's not feeling well, but he got drunk as well. And it's a shame Kayla couldn't make it because we could have had the whole trio there. It would have been even better, but this show is going to be great. Let's bring them in. John.
Hey, how you doing, Baz?
I'm good. Is the Christmas tree up?
Oh, yeah.
Is my ornament on?
The ornament, it's sitting right next to the tree. We're waiting for the family to get here before we put them all up.
I like that.
But
Goes to the top of the tree. Top of the tree.
It's ready. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that.
No, hey, it was my pleasure.
You still got your Denver scarf?
Of course I have.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, behind me. I wouldn't forget this one.
Good.
How's it going?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Yeah. Hey, how are you, Shane?
Good to see you, John. Good to see you, Baz.
Absolutely buzzing to have you back on. It's been ages.
No, it has been a while. The time zone on the West Coast is very unforgiving for me.
Sucks, doesn't it?
Makes up for it.
Right, Through Black and White Eyes says, that's Leslie, by the way. Super chats are available, bottom right hand corner. You can join for 99p. Help share the show, help share the channel. Who cares about all that tonight? Because it's these two we're talking about tonight. Hello again. Yes, I know I'm back again. It doesn't happen very often, but love getting an early finish and catching these shows live. Hope you're all well, despite last night. We are mad bag. Promise you. Welcome back, Lee, of course, John here, and SoCal Geordie. Hopefully we'll see Jimmy as well, but Jimmy is going for speech therapy at the hospital, so he might join us in the car. If he doesn't, we'll catch him on the next show. And also Roy, who is at an event tonight, he will also be on the next one as well. Guys, honestly, what an absolute pleasure it was actually finally meeting you in person. You know, John saved my life at the Man United game. I was literally lost, and I give me a bed for the night. You know,
I heard about that.
I was hanging the next day as well.
Yeah, you didn't have a 12-hour flight, mate.
Hey, that's just bad planning.
There's nothing you can do about it.
That flight was awful.
You guys didn't get any sleep that night.
No, we got like 2 hours of sleep. Woke up, still buzzed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really easy to get to the airport, and thankfully, I mean, as you all know, the airport in Newcastle will get you a pint any time of the day. So, so me and Eddie just had a few more, and then woke up in Los Angeles.
Oh man,
that's mint. Eddie was an absolute pleasure to meet as well. We've got some pictures from the day. There we go.
There it is.
That was, I'm not too sure when that one was. Was that when we were in the Geordie Star? No, it's American football in the background. That's a different part of the day. Which one was this one, John?
Gee whiz, I don't know.
It was that good, he can't remember.
You're asking me to help.
It was your picture.
Yeah, I don't. The background is throwing me off.
Yeah. Is it not the hospitality, maybe?
It could. Well, I don't know because of the football. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
Very interesting. Remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, apparently everyone remembers this one but me.
I remember this guy and his dad. We got to meet him too.
Yeah, that's actually what's funny about that is that's actually my buddy Steve, who I talk to fairly regularly, and you know he's a big runner as well. But it was just such a blur because we were leaving the Strawberry and going straight into the match, and you know them moving the match to 8 o'clock at night meant we were drinking all day. And I mean, we'd gotten into town at what was it, 10 a.m.
Yes,
this was well into it by that point.
I love it. All right. That one,
Adam P,
the legendary Adam P.
Every time we start walking somewhere, we see somebody we know, and it's like, oh my gosh, we're never going to get in.
It was mental. I remember going from the back page to the ground. That was obviously the food bank.
Food bank. This guy filling in for my buddy Davey Craig. who usually is on the strawberry corner. Davey wasn't feeling well the whole time we were there, so I didn't get to see him, but I've talked to him a little bit ever since. And he went last night, so that's good.
Well, sort of.
Yeah, well, first half was magical. It was great. It was like, wow, I can't believe this team just keeps showing up and playing so hard.
We're definitely going to talk about it. That's another food bank picture.
George, yeah. I met him the first time I went there, and I see him all the time. And he does a podcast too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's with a couple guys on a podcast. I think maybe it's Steve Wraith. I don't know.
Could be.
I forget.
If you want to get him on, John. And obviously is that Newcastle women player?
Yeah, she scored the game winner.
Yeah. I know. I was jealous of that, John. I wish I'd stayed an extra day and gotten to get to the women's match. I really want to get to a women's match at some point.
I think I was talking to Adam Pearson, and he was saying, "You're going to stick around for the match?" I was like, "You know what? I'm not doing anything that day. That was going to be a day of rest." So I got out there in the cold again, and it was good. They won 1-0 and 1-0, and it went till the very end. I mean, it was a really good match, and the skills these girls have, man, they were great. It was fun to watch.
That team is getting better and better, isn't it? And they've got Man United in the next round of the Cup.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Great.
Unfortunately, the Man United team is pretty good. So
yeah, they're much better than the men's team. No, they are. they actually are.
They are. It's mint. I love it. He's on NFC Matters Bards. George Mitchell played for Newcastle. Oh, there you go. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, John, if you speak to him and you want to get him on one of these shows, you're more than welcome to do it. I keep telling John, this is John's show.
Yeah,
it's not.
This is John's world. We're all just living in it.
Exactly.
No, it's definitely Shade's world when you come back here to the States.
Well, it's certainly Shade's world when we're in the pub, because that was wild. It was wild at times. It was.
It was so much fun. I have. I tell people, have you ever watched Ted Lasso or
I love Ted Lasso
or Wrexham? I mean, that's what happens to me when I go over there. It's like a magical world. I mean, I just run into people. They're trying to buy me pints. I'm like, I'm still working on this one. It's like, yeah. It's
not an excuse not to have another one, John.
Yeah, I know. I got two hands.
Someone quicker.
You've got to learn to down them.
I completely agree with John, though, on the magic of it all. Like, I mean, I thought Newcastle it's been magic ever since I lived there and every time that I go back. But this time was especially, this time was very special in a completely different way. And just that, like, I always go back, usually by myself. I stay with one of my best mates and I see all my mates, and I kind of do a lot of the stuff that I did when I lived there. I go to all the locals I enjoy. I go to the match. I can do a stadium tour, all that stuff. And then for it to be like kind of a combination.
He's feeling a little bit unhealthy there, isn't he? I'll mute him for that. You feeling all right there, John?
Just notice the sneeze, John. We all heard it.
What you need to do, John, is you need to mute yourself rather than take yourself off the screen, because we can still hear it all.
Yeah.
Well, couldn't help myself. But yeah, you're right, Shade. And it was great meeting your friends. Man, that was good.
It was just cool combining like my
all of it
in a weird way, like my NUFC lot family in America with my NUFC family in Newcastle, right? Like that was one of the coolest things for me. And then on top of that, like, I mean, you and me, Baz, we talk on Twitter all the time and stuff like that, but I had never met you in person. So it was like I got to meet all of these other new people through John, who's like a part of my American family in a weird way. I mean, we're all in the same family, but you know what I mean? It was just a unique experience. And for me, I absolutely loved it.
Hey, we're all family. There's no doubt. I mean, it was great. And that's why when Baz needed a room, it's like, hey, I got one. I got another bed over here.
You literally saved me 3 hours of like being on trains, metros, back to town, then a taxi at like 2 o'clock in the morning to get back to my parents' house. Like, I literally just walked around the corner. It was brilliant.
I was hoping you'd work it out, but when you didn't, it was like, well, look, I got a cold, I'm just coughing. If you could put up with that, you just stay here. And you're like, really?
I could put up with anything. Don't you worry about that.
Well, I think we're all that way.
Oh, definitely. You've got to be, especially when it's a match day.
Yeah.
Shade, where did he study?
I went to Newcastle University.
Not Northumbria.
No, not Northumbria. It's funny. One of my best friends went to Northumbria at the same time that I went out there. So we definitely had that whole, was it the posh versus poly?
Yes.
And that they even called it that when the rugby teams played each other, because I played rugby for Newcastle as well. Class. And but yeah, no, I loved it. It was a great school. Obviously I got my BA here. I went to grad school there, but it was definitely just an amazing experience. And I'm so glad I got accepted to Newcastle University because it completely changed my life for the better.
I was going to ask, it's a big question, I suppose, if nobody knows you, is like, why did you choose Newcastle? It can't be because of the football at the time, because I think you fell in love with the football when you were in the area, didn't you?
Yeah. So I didn't have a Premier League club. Really it's 3 reasons. I was going to school in Orange County, California. I was living with one of my best friends, Rob. He's from Norwich, and he had taken me out to England on a holiday and everything like that. And we just did touristy stuff all over, and that was great. But I was applying to grad schools, and I'd applied to a bunch in America, but I really wanted to continue playing rugby. Rugby is a lot bigger nowadays. Back then, there wasn't a lot of universities with club teams or anything like that. Right. And I also I wanted to go to a good school as well. I'd worked really hard to get good grades. And it's funny, I didn't get accepted to one school in America that I applied for. I got accepted to all 5 in the UK that I applied for. Yeah. Wow. And so I got accepted to, I forget all of them, but I got accepted to Newcastle. I got accepted to Oxford Brookes. And then I got accepted to a couple other ones down south. And really, literally came down to 3 things. All of my English teammates were like, well, Newcastle's a red brick uni. You'll get a great education. They've got a Division I rugby team. And it's the best night out in all of England. And I was like, all right, well, I like playing rugby, getting good grades and drinking. So it that was really how it worked out. I hadn't been to Newcastle before then. I accepted, went I did research, but I hadn't come over or anything like that. And then I booked a plane and flew over and never wanted to leave.
It's mint. It's crazy. Yeah. Why did you leave?
Visas. I wouldn't have left if they had, I had to go because your visa only lasts so long when you're a student, and it's very difficult when you come in as a student, especially if you're American. It's very difficult to get a work visa afterwards.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's actually very specifically for Americans. It's very difficult. There's a couple things you have to tick off, and it would have been one of those scenarios where if I'd wanted to stay, I would have had to leave Newcastle for a job maybe down south. And I was like, well, I'm from Los Angeles. Like, I would rather live in London than Los Angeles, to be honest with you. But I, at the time, just figured it was probably best to go home. And so I did. And I've been trying to make my life in Newcastle and my life in California as close as I possibly can ever since.
You're doing a good job of it.
Thank you.
Definitely doing a good job of it. Well, let's reminisce a little bit about the obviously what you did when you were over here. Obviously, the Chelsea game was your first game you went to.
Yeah.
You picked the best weekend 2 weeks, to be able to cram in the games that you did. It couldn't have worked out any better.
I got to say something. I was worried about them. This didn't happen until after we left, but I was worried about them being so injured, so banged up, not having energy. But I think what happened was, you see how they try so hard every game. They had just had the international break, and then they came in, and the first game was Chelsea. And that was the game. I brought my daughter and her fiance and my wife to that one, as well as Eddie and Shade. We all had tickets to that one. And I was just thrilled. That was the best game my daughter could see.
Yeah.
And at the end, she turned to me and she goes, I get it. I get it now. I was like,
Yeah.
that made the whole trip right there.
It was I love that moment for John because it was I think we all had special moments, and I'll speak for Eddie since he's not here, but Eddie hadn't been back to Newcastle since 2005.
Yeah.
And and he's dedicated his life to being a great dad and a great husband and doing the things that he needed to do to do all of that for his family and everything. So he's a very selfless person. And this was kind of, his children have just, finished up school and stuff like that. They're both teenagers. He's waited a very long time to come back to Newcastle, and for him to get that I was very, very happy for him because I know him very well. But also for me, I was starting to think I was cursed, and it wasn't something I like to admit, but I was starting to think it, and all my best friends used to give me shit for it all the time because my best result before that Chelsea game was 0-0 against Brighton at home under Rafa Benitez. And
right.
so, and then obviously when I lived here, we were doing better, and I'd seen goals then, but I hadn't seen a goal at St. James Park for 6 years.
Wow.
And, and I don't get back a lot, but every time I get back, I try to get to at least one, and we just kept getting worse.
Oh.
And then before that result under Rafa, I think my best result was right before I left. We played Man United away under McLaren. It was a 0-0 draw with a disallowed goal from Rooney, right? So, those were my best results, but we didn't score. Right. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And then, and then got to the point where the lads would always be giving me shit, being like, mate, don't come to the match. And then, to get 4 goals there. I mean, this was the one thing is even Chelsea 2 years ago, I'm never afraid for us to play Chelsea at home. They cannot play us at home. They have a history of they come up north and they forget football, and I love it. And we get under their skin so easy. I remember when we beat them, I think it was 2-1 under Alan Pardew, and it was against Mourinho, and it was and everybody was screaming at David Luiz, you're just a shit Colaccini, and I loved that, right?
Yeah.
And so I know we do well against Chelsea, and I know that this Chelsea, I don't care how fit they are, they're very, very poor. Yeah. So I was confident that we would give them a game. I knew we would. What we got was not something I thought would happen because of the injury crisis, right? And so 4-1. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When that free kick went in, when that first goal went in for Newcastle, I tears down. I was like, the curse is lifted. I'm back at St. James Park under Eddie Howe, and I finally got my goal, right? And and then that free kick, and I'm like, oh no, I'm like, we're not losing this. And then that second half, it was like Chelsea gave up. Not no fight in them whatsoever. And really, I honestly think with them, they just don't have any players that know how to play for that badge. They've got no youth. There's no identity there. There's no culture, and they've got. If you don't have that, you don't have anything, right? And that's the difference maker between I think us and a lot of other clubs that are in our predicament is regardless, we have our players that have come up that are northern lads that know what it's like to play for that badge and know what it means to this community, right? But we also have a manager that's instilled some of that in players that you would think didn't know how to do that, right? And these players have slotted in and they play for that badge too, and they play for it hard. Yeah. And I mean, that's a testament to Eddie Howe, but it's also a testament to our fans and how much how could you not put on that shirt, walk out on that pitch, and not fall in love with that city? Yeah. So that's a testament to us as well. But yeah, it was just incredible to run them over like that.
We went up 2-1, and Eddie and I were jumping up and down, and you had moved to where you could stand up, so you could be
because I can't sit down. Room. I know you see me at Bluefoot, people sit in front of the bar and everything like that. I'm stand. I can't.
No.
I'm too nervy. I'm too excited.
I get it. Me too. So I jumped up and down, but when we went up 3-1, it was like, yes, we're gonna smash them. And then
was I guess feeling that game, wasn't it? I mean, I remember the second goal going in and thinking, right, don't lose this.
Yeah.
And then it was 90 seconds later, Joe Linton scores, and the place erupted more than it did for the first 2 goals because we knew we had them.
Yeah.
And that's when we turned around and started giving all the crap to the fans,
Oh,
absolutely laying into them.
Oh, it was great. Especially like I said, I mean, especially over here, Chelsea fans over here. It's just so fun giving them grief now. Like, I love it, right? Because they've had their heyday, and don't get me wrong, credit.
Oh, of course
You got to give credit where credit's due, and everything like that. And it is what it is. But like I said, we've always done well against them, and I've never ever seen them as somebody I was afraid of, or we should be afraid of. But now it's just kind of hilarious seeing that like nobody's afraid of them. Like, no club in the Prem is afraid of them. Not even, I know they're going to lose. They're not afraid. Yeah. Like,
I went to the game last year. We beat them 1-0.
That was a great game as well.
Almiron was pulling right in front of the net, and Willock just kicked it right out from under him. Yeah,
that was a beautiful goal. That you mentioned something about Mourinho, and you're right. You know, Mourinho's only beat Newcastle once at St James's Park, and I remember him posting. It was either on Twitter or something that he took a picture next to the Bobby Robson statue and said, "I finally won here."
I remember that. I've seen that. Yeah.
He's like, "I finally done it. You know, I can leave St James's Park with a different type of smile on my face," because he loves going to St James's Park because of Sir Bobby Robson.
Of course he does.
To actually get a win there for him, you know, it was obviously shit for us, but it was nice for him to finally get his win there, because we have tormented him for God knows how many years. And the other thing you had on your side going to a game as I was there.
Yeah,
there you go.
And it's a strange thing that's happened to me recently. Obviously, I've seen Newcastle lose at St James's Park a lot. Don't get me wrong, but since the takeover, every time I've got a home ticket, we've never lost.
All right, so this is your way to make sure that somebody gets you a home ticket, Baz.
That's right.
There is that as well.
If this is your way to try and overstep the ballot, I don't know if it's going to work.
I will keep trying, though. I went to the PSG game, won 4-1. Went to the Villa game, won 5-1. Went to the Chelsea game, went to the Man United game. Last season, I went to about, I think got to 9 or 10 games.
That's awesome.
We've never lost.
I'm jealous.
I don't believe it. We've never lost, and I'm used to seeing crap because I've had a season ticket during, most of the Ashley era.
Yeah.
But since the takeover, I've never seen us lose.
Oh,
drew a Man City 3-3. I was at that game as well.
Wow, that was a big one. That was a big one.
So you can put the blame on me for getting knocked out of the Champions League because I couldn't get a Dortmund ticket and an AC Milan ticket. We probably would have been through with 15 points if I'd gone.
I think that handball call is more to blame than you not being there is.
Yeah, that oh God,
that was terrible. That was terrible.
But I'm not gonna be an Arsenal fan. I'm not gonna be one of them who's moved on.
It's two things, right? With that is, first off, like Bluefoot, where we all watch our matches at, used to be an Arsenal bar. I'll let them have it. They get the most numbers there still when they're winning. Didn't see them there 2 seasons ago for the life of me, but whatever. Right. I won't let, first off, we're better than that.
Yeah, massively.
Like 3 points. Secondly, I would argue that as much as I disagree with that call, most clubs in the top 10 have had a bad call go against them that's cost them something this season, right? So it's not an Arsenal problem, it's not a Newcastle problem, it's a referee VAR problem, right? And thirdly, I'll never give an Arsenal fan the satisfaction of being like them, to be honest, right? Because they're just ridiculous. Like, entitled and delusional, if you ask me.
Do you know what it is, though? You say Arsenal like an entitled fans. I think Liverpool are more insufferable.
Couldn't agree with you, actually. Couldn't agree
Every
with you more.
single thing I hear from Liverpool fans is you're only in the Champions League this season because we were that bad last season.
Oh, it's funny, right? Because, they are one of the biggest supported groups probably around here, Liverpool. So I have a lot of friends that are Liverpool fans, and it's probably my least favorite thing about them. But it's one of those things where, like, I love my mates, but I can't stand Liverpool supporters. Like, it's the whole, like, anything that happens to our club, instead of talking about it amongst themselves, they're in our channels. Right. Yeah. Like, it's like they can't handle that another working class club's doing well. Which is like, look, I want my club to do better than everybody else's, but at the same time, I want more working class clubs getting the love that they deserve because we deserve it. We work hard and we come from communities that don't get a lot of love, and we have communities that work really, really hard for what they've got and everything like that. And so it's that whole thing with like the Northern clubs as well. It's like, I want more Northern clubs in the Prem. I think that, I want us to be the best, but I still want more Northern representation in the Prem. I don't want it to be this thing where people outside of the UK only see Southern clubs excelling and doing well, right? And especially like after years of being looked down upon over here for supporting Newcastle, like I remember people used to say, "Good for you," like it was some nice thing that it was a charitable act that I've decided to support Newcastle United, and I'm just like, good for me. Like I support the greatest club in the world. What are you on? So I mean, yeah, like I don't want to get along with Liverpool fans, but I just don't understand their wanted rivalry with us.
Ooh. So Mancunian Ways sent to Martin, a great lad, talked to him quite a lot. He said he sent me some tasty information. So it was a little bit higher up the message I put about entitled fans. He knows all about entitled fans. So this is what he sent me. So this has come from Martin. It's not come from, people who say I make up things. It's quite funny. Hi mate, my source who I get info said Newcastle desperate for Calvin Phillips. Yeah, tired. But not easy as we're looking at triggering Bruno's release clause. Only looking at that at the minute. You heard anything? I haven't heard anything about Bruno going to Man City. I know he's got a release clause and it's 100 to 110 million.
100 million.
Yeah.
And there isn't any stipulation on it whether we have to be in Europe or don't have to be in Europe. I think it's just a straight, but as far as I'm aware, his release clause is a straight up 100 or 110 million.
Yeah, and that's a meeting. Like that's the thing is you have to pay that. I mean, you have to pay it if he agrees as well. Yeah. That's for him to say yes or no, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much.
I mean, I saw something on Twitter of him. Liverpool really, really want him. I know that. I mean, any club in the top 6 would be licking their chops to have him. I get that, right? And I've been wrong before, and I know money can turn people and everything like that, but I don't realistically see any scenario where he's not in the black and white next season, regardless of whether we get to Europe or not. I think that, I don't think that he'll be a Newcastle United player forever. I just don't think that he's going to ruin what he has with us, but also the opportunity that he has with us and the love that he's got to make. And I know I might get slated for this, but to make a lateral move. And when I say lateral move, like going to City, fair enough. You're going to win something. I know that. It's pretty much guaranteed, right? And so that's your selling point, right? But you're not guaranteed that you're going to play every match, right? And that's one thing to consider.
Your family situation.
That too, right?
Yeah.
And and then going to I know Liverpool are doing great this year, and they're a great team, and Jurgen Klopp's fine. He's a fantastic manager, but they're doing fine. I don't think that they're playing well.
No,
they're just scraping results. This is a poor Liverpool side, right? It's a Liverpool side that beat us with 10 men. I'll let them have that. It was annoying, but it happened.
10 minutes.
It's still I honestly feel like a part of the reason they're so threatened by us is they know we're coming for them. And why make that lateral move now for, maybe for an instant trophy? But that's not guaranteed for Liverpool. I mean, I know that people are saying they're probably going to win the league, but I think the league's wide open. I think the Carabao Cup's wide open. I think the FA Cup's wide open. I think it's anybody's right now in the top 7, right? And when I say top 7, that does include Newcastle United for all 3, because we are going to be a completely different side in January when these injuries come healthy. And I know we're going to bring some players in. I do want us to bring in Phillips. I think that that's a good option for Tonali being out. I think he's a player that will want to prove that he isn't a failure, because regardless of what Pep said, and Pep has handled that well, he's still a failure at Man City, right? And he's regarded as a failure. I mean, he's the joke of the treble, right? And everyone knows it. And so it's I do think that he's somebody that could come in and make a difference short term for us. But I don't think that we're looking at a replacement for Bruno. I think Bruno's in black and white for at least another 2 seasons.
Yeah, that would be good. And he pairs really good with Joe Linton on the
Oh
squad.
yeah, I mean
They're
the
like
best
best
friends now,
buddies
aren't
now.
they? Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
And
even hear about Paqueta anymore. He's been
No,
sacked.
we don't do it.
All
He's been
about Coach
sacked his
Joe.
best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Paqueta wasn't even the best man. Like, so that's another thing you've got to factor in, and then that Brazilian connection in the national team. I mean,
Yep.
we have 2 Brazilian internationals, and one of them we created ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like Eddie Howe created, right? And it's like there's a lot of other factors there that I think people need to think about. It doesn't always come to money, and I know that this isn't a loyal game anymore. I'm not delusional.
No one's that stupid.
Yeah, no one's that stupid, but there are players that don't want to just get paid. And I think that that's really evident of Bruno coming to us when he came to us, that he was somebody that wanted to come to the Prem and make an impact.
Yeah.
And he will make an impact at any club that he goes to. I know that because of the player that he is, but at the same time, he's not going to get what he's got here at one of those clubs.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's not going to get the fans the way we are. No offense to City, but they do have a habit of, I don't know, the stadium not being as loud as ours in a way, or the way we're passionate about certain players. I mean, Bruno's a hero to us now.
Yeah.
Let's just say, for example, Bruno puts a player into touch and puts the ball out after 15 minutes and tries to get the crowd up. Is he going to get the same reaction at City, or is he good at what he does at Newcastle? He's not.
You got to get people in the stadium for that, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's you
okay.
went there. But it is interesting. The one team I would be worried about losing anyone to would be City because of Pep, because of their pull of winning trophies. Bruno would fit very well into their side because Kevin De Bruyne is near the end of his career. You technically take his place. So if there is any worry there, it is City. Liverpool, not for me.
No.
City is the only team I'd be worried about.
And Man United as well, because I saw one of those rumors on the Twitter thing too. It's like how can no one wants to go there unless they're getting a payday,
That's all they are.
And talking about playing for the badge, Ten Hag, the reality is you don't have players that can play for that badge either. That's why they're doing so poorly.
Yep.
Managers play a big impact on that. We all know that. But at the same time, you don't have anybody there, that's going to stand up to these superstars that they've paid all this money for who don't want to play for that badge, right?
Yeah.
What is Garnacho or what's his name? McTominay, right? What are they going to say to Bruno Fernandes? Nothing, right?
But what's Bruno Fernandes going to say to them? I mean,
exactly. Because the one player, the one player that respected the badge enough to actually say, "Hey, there's a bunch of shit going on here that you guys need to look at." They excommunicated him, and he's off in Saudi now.
Yeah.
Right. And he's the only one that got him through the group stages.
Yeah.
So it's you need those players that understand the badge.
Why would you go there? There's still turmoil there. You remember the Ashley years here. They've got this turmoil between the fans and the ownership, and and it's not sorted out yet. And I just wouldn't go to that.
No, I mean, no one's going to Man United, let's face it. I mean, I had Alice on the show before, who's a Man United fan, absolutely brilliant in our descriptions of what's going on at the club. It's definitely worth watching if anyone's missed it. Only looking, not definite though, but you are definitely in for Calvin Phillips. Everyone knows that now, don't we?
Yeah, I think that's the most definite. I still think that if there's an option for us to get De Gea on a short term, I would still go for that. I was hesitant about the Ramsdale thing just because I don't want it to affect Pope when he comes back. But at the same time, I don't think Arsenal would sell him to us, to be honest. But in a weird world where that does happen and it's a deal that makes sense, maybe you do go for that. I just don't. I don't know. It's tough now, right? Because a lot of these options we were looking at was under the impression that maybe we were going to go through this group stage, right, or at least be in Europa League. And now that pressure's off, I know it's going to change the approach from the front office to how we approach January, right? But I mean, Calvin Phillips just makes the most sense. It's an easy slot in. I would love for us to find some more. I mean, I know we have Harvey Barnes and Gordon coming. Well, we don't know about Gordon right now, but I know we have Barnes coming back, and he can both play on the right and the left. I still think that we need somebody to cover the right better.
Yeah.
Because
We all love Miggy, but we all know his limitations.
His limitations, and you know what? Every team that's beat us this past week's taking advantage of that right side. Let's call it for what it is. I love Kieran Trippier and everything like that. He had 2 bad games, and that's okay. It's going to happen, right? But when you have 2 bad games, and then your right winger who can't track, who you kind of rely on that side with you is not playing well either, or his limitations are being taken advantage of, and you can't make up for those limitations. Our whole right side was just taken advantage of nonstop, right? And that's a big issue. We do have to look at that. I think that we need more support there. I
think the problem with Miggy supporting Trippier recently is being fatigued. I know everyone hates that word, but I think it is because Miggy's always been there. He cleared one off the line the other night. He was there for a certain situation where Trippier got done, but he couldn't be there all the time because he just couldn't get up and down fast enough. I think the players were on the last legs, weren't they? You could see in the first half it was all there. In the second half, when we really needed Miggy to get back, he was on his arse like most players.
Yeah, we lost that midfield in the second half. Which was unfortunate because I know Longstaff's coming back from injury, and I don't think he's entirely to blame for that at all.
Definitely not.
No, and I think that I mean, looking at positives, like yesterday sucked, but like Lewis Miley has I love that he just looks like a child on his face, but he has like the body of a full-grown footballer, like he's so much taller in real life that you're like, oh my God, but he's just got this cute little baby face, and he's like, but the thing I like the most about him is his size is great. And he just doesn't seem scared. He just he's like, all right, like, let's go, he'll have a go on goal if he can. And, some of those crossbars that he hit, if they'd gone in, we'd be singing a different song. But he's not afraid to take a chance, and you want your youngsters to take those chances. He's confident taking those chances.
He's real poised. I mean, he is not ruffled by anything that's going on around him, which is it's just something really good about star players is they're just not rattled, and it's just fun to watch him.
It is. It's interesting on Calvin. Apparently, it has to be an obligation in the loan. Now, I don't think we want an obligation because we've got Sandro coming back. But it's interesting. If he performs well for 6 months, we might want to buy him. But if they're going to put an obligation in, it'd be like, do we want to commit ourselves to this player or not? So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And there's other suitors for him as well. So let's see what happens.
So do you think you'd pass on him if it was obligation to buy?
I think so.
I think so too. Option to buy, fine, right? Obligation's a bit different. And they're like, I don't ever claim to know what goes on in the dressing room, especially at Man City, right? Like, I don't know. I'm so far detached from all of that, right?
Yeah.
But we also don't know if there's other reasons why he can't get playtime.
That's it. Right? That's it.
And I know that, we finally have a manager that protects that dressing room like it's his own living room, right?
It's his family.
Yeah, it's his family. And we have to, I don't feel like we can ever put ourselves in a position where we're desperate enough to sacrifice that ever again. We did that for almost 13 years.
Yeah, I agree with that. The other interesting thing, you mentioned Miley, he's got 2 brothers.
I know.
And do you know the really freaky thing is they say that Miley is probably the worst footballer out of the 3 of them.
No way.
Whether that's hype or not, don't get me wrong. It'd be awesome if we had 3 starting Mileys in the lineup in a few years.
That's honestly
right. It'd be. I don't think that have ever been done in Premier League history. 3 brothers starting and all being incredible.
I don't think 3 brothers. I know there's been twins and there's been brothers, but I can't remember 3 brothers ever playing for the same team. Obviously, there's the Charltons at Man United were probably the 2 best brothers to ever play football, to be fair. But I can't remember 3 in the same team. Not in the Premier League, but there might have been somewhere in South America or somewhere like that, potentially. It'll be interesting to know that. Obviously, we'll talk about the Man United game a little bit. That was more of my day out with you guys. Obviously, Chelsea game was like a flying visit because I had to get home for work the next day. But we started early.
I had to go home and take a nap.
We did start early.
The great thing is when I walked into the bar with John, there was you, Eddie. Was there somebody else with you or not? I think there was someone else. It was just the 2 years.
Shorty Star or at the Where at?
The first bar we walked, the old Gotham.
Oh yeah, when we were at the Gunner Tavern. Yeah.
The Gunner Tavern, yeah. So when me and John walked in, I looked and I was like, it looks like he's on a stage talking to people like he's on Sky Sports. It was so funny. Like you were doing tactics on the bar and all this.
Oh,
these guys were just looking up and just soaking everything in. I was like,
there was a bunch of young lads there, and they were going from metro stop to metro stop and going into a pub to have a beer and then go to the next metro stop.
Yeah, they were basically doing a loop back to city back to town before the match.
Yeah,
wow.
Stopping up at every exit, going to the closest local, having a pint, like a bunch of young lads, right? And yeah, so we got talking in that.
Mental idea. That's 13. That's about 27 stops.
Yeah, so that's something I want to do next time I'm over. I already told them that. I'm like, that's a fantastic idea.
27. No.
I mean, I feel like we got close to 27 pints before that match.
Well, we did put a fair few away, but 27 stops. I mean, bearing in mind it's 30 minutes from Central Station to Monk Seaton, which is where I live. My parents live. So that means that's a good I'd say a good 4-hour journey you've got to prepare yourself for.
Oh, you guys were ready for that.
Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, man, if we didn't have all these plans today, I'd be on that metro with them.
24 pints in 3 hours, 4 hours, though. That is insane. You are not making the match. Did they make
I don't know if they did. I didn't see them again.
I'll be surprised if they made that match.
I got like one message off one of them. He had put our sticker somewhere at one of the pubs, and that was
that's class.
Yeah, which was funny. But that was fun.
That was fun meeting you there. And that's where all the fun started. And then we went to my favorite bar, the Geordie Star, which is my like little gem of a bar that's been redone.
That was nice. I was glad you recommended that one.
Yeah, because like I said, I told you I knew it before it was that, right? I forget what it was called then, but it was just called the Star, wasn't it? And,
the Star, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and and it was, obviously they've revamped it. And it's completely different now, and it was just not. It was funny because all my mates that were messaging me, I was like, "Come here," and they all had the same reaction, like, "Why?" And I'm like, "It's different." And I just did what you did when you told me to meet you there. You're like, "It's different now," by the way. And I was like, "Okay." And then I told them all that, and all of them had the same reaction, like, "Bro, when did this place get class?" And I was like, "I know." Like, it was awesome. Like that was that's definitely gonna be one of my spots now.
Yeah, it's right close to the hotels too.
Yeah,
but it's literally right around the corner from Central Station. I was like, because someone took me there, and I was just like, all right, we'll stop for one, and I stopped there all day.
Yeah, it was class. I love it.
And that's what happens. They're still trying to figure it out because it is quite new. I mean, they had a DJ playing before the game the last time, and I was like, please get rid of that. Don't do that again.
You don't need that.
You want to listen to as soon as the match finished, to turn the music on as well. I was like, interviews, what you're playing at, and then would they listen to the people who drink there, and they've stopped doing stuff like that, which is good.
Because you want that banter, and like I don't want to. I mean that's my thing. It's like we all hang out at the Bluefoot. It's a bunch of banter. Ronnie won't put the music on until a bit later on, right? And that's a part of the day, right?
Yeah, of course it is.
Talking about how
to talk to each other and be able to hear each other and stuff like that. Because I remember it was the Burnley game I was at, and it was Julie's birthday. She came up with her husband and that, and we went into there to watch the game. And it was like music on before, music on straight after, and blowing your head off. I was just like, this is not good. That was another wild night. Ended up playing mini golf till 2:00 in the morning and somewhere in Newcastle, just absolute stupid. And I won. By 5 shots. I was quite proud of that. We've been asked a cracking question. Obviously, this is going to be, it's the first one since 2016. What do you think to the draw? 6th of January. Are you planning a freak visit just for this game, or are you going to have to stay away from it?
I mean, I got to stay away and save my money.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough I got one derby at St. James Park. I think it would have been 2015. Yeah, it was 2015 or 2014. 2015 was when Adam Johnson scored the 90th minute.
That's I was there as well.
Yeah. So that was the one I was at, right? And I wanted to go to a derby so bad, and my best mate Joe got, at the time that was still hard to get tickets to those, right? you know, and like, because before that I could get a ticket to almost any match on the day and it was fine. But whenever we played Sunderland, that was the hard one. And so he had gotten me a ticket and I was so stoked. And I was in the Gallagate for it. And like, it sucks that we lost. I still have one of my best Newcastle experiences was just being at that. And it's funny because when we were on BBC that Monday before the draw got announced, we brought up that because, you know, obviously Simon Price is a Sunderland supporter and, you know, Sunderland's on there. And I forget the other, not John Anderson, but the third guy that's on the show was like, be mindful, we have Sunderland that listen in too, because I was talking and but I've said this since day one. I want them in the Prem. I want them doing worse than us, because I literally said that on the Monday. I was like, I think it's a shame that there's going to be a generation of Newcastle fans that don't know what a derby day is, because it's not Man United, it's not Liverpool, it's not Leeds, it's none of that. It's Sunderland, and then we get them in the draw. It's incredible. Like, I mean, I wish it was at home, but I mean, I won't be flying out for it. If it was at home, maybe, because there's better options for getting a ticket, maybe. But it's just too close to this trip, or I would be over for that, because it is something that every Newcastle fan's got to experience at some point.
Yes. I mean, I've been quite lucky. I've seen a lot of wins. I've also seen a lot of losses. But Derby Day for me is always getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, going straight to the pub, eating a bacon and egg sandwich, down in your first pint, and then just carrying on from there. And it gets messy. It really does. But this is the hard part about it. We've got Liverpool away, and we've also got Man City at home in between this game. So
wow.
Do you know what it is? I'm at the stage now that they've beat us that many times. I know we stopped the rot with a draw, but we haven't beat them. They've still got that 6 in a row hanging over us.
Yeah.
I don't care if we lose to Liverpool or City as long as we beat Sunderland.
Yeah. We have to beat Sunderland.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think I'm always a little more blindly optimistic than most people, or I try to look for the positives. I don't think it's going to be an easy game at all. Like, you know, I do think that
underdogs always play hard.
Yeah, you know, they're going to play the hardest against us. I think that Jobe Bellingham's doing very, very well there.
Yeah.
And if he, you know, incites anything of what his brother can do, that's a worry for us.
Yeah.
It depends where our fitness is at as well. And
they got nothing to lose.
They got nothing to lose and everything to play for, and they're at home.
Yeah.
And they'll probably, you know, that might be their first sold out game in 10 years, but and maybe 5, but it's going to be a hard game. I'm interested to see who their manager is going to be, because I know that they're having trouble with that. And I'd love if it ended up being McLaren. I would absolutely love it.
Or Steve Bruce again.
Or yeah, exactly, right? Because then, you know, with those two, but the thing is, I also worry about those types of managers, not because they're good, but because all they'll do is play defense and then wait for that one counter opportunity that we get taken advantage of for, right? AC Milan waited, and I'm not saying Sunderland are anywhere near AC Milan, but they waited for that moment yesterday.
Yeah,
they took advantage of that counter, right? Like, it was right when you saw that opening, they went for they were waiting for it for so long, and they took complete advantage of it. I do think it's crazy that they sacked Mowbray before this, to be honest. He's done.
This is what they've done, though. This is what they've always done. They always sack the manager and then beat her.
I know.
Well, that scares me.
Hey, we're a different club now, though. That's the other thing.
It's true. That is true. John, there's a lot of people thinking that we're going to win like 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, 8-0. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I worry about it just being too rough. You know, like careless fouls and stuff like that against a Premier League team. And don't
worry, we've got Joe Linton.
Yeah, that's my man. That's my guy, man.
You'll bitch slap them till next week.
Oh no, he's loving a yellow card these days, isn't he?
Oh, he is. No one be suspended, please. But I've always said to everyone, when you're playing away from home, you're playing in the third round of the FA Cup, you're playing your rivals, league positions go out the window, league form goes out the window, and it's a battle for 90 minutes. And like you said, it will be a tough match. You just got to hope our class shows, you know, straight away we can get 1 or 2-0 up, you know, watch the heads go down and then watch the rest of the goals roll in. But
yeah, I got a question though, Shay. Do you know if we're going to be able to watch that one?
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be it'll be 4:30 in the morning my time
It's
because
on ITV, isn't it, over here? So
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it's FA Cup, right?
who's carrying that?
FA Cup, yeah.
FA Cup's all on ESPN Plus.
Oh, is it? Okay. All
So
right.
it should be on ESPN Plus. If not, it'll be on Peacock. It'll be on.
Okay.
I haven't had any issues with that, especially because it's later on in the. It's what round is it again?
Third round. It's basically the first round for the Premier League, but it's third round for the proper. The FA Cup's weird. It starts
for that.
There's like 13 rounds until you get to the first round.
Yeah.
And then there's the second and third round when all the third round Premier League teams come into it.
Yeah. So I think it'll be on. If not, it's dodgy stream.
Yeah. That's what I was going to ask for.
Just stream.
I got you sorted, mate.
Mackham's tweeting about Dan Neil will clatter Bruno. He won't get near him. Exactly. He's got to be able to get near him to clatter him. Just hope so. Oh no, let's not talk about the Tranmere game because
that's
tackles in there were shocking.
That's what I'm talking about. Amateur tackles, amateur, trying to hurt guys, stuff like that. We're already banged up.
Yeah. The thing I like about going into this though too is, I mean, again, going back to the badge of it all, like we've got so many players in that dressing room that are going to be like,
Longstaff, Miley,
like, know what this means to the Northeast, right? Like, there's no other derby like it, and we know that, and we do have a history. I mean, we have lost quite a few, right? And it's also like one of the titles we could win this year, right? So it's like there's a lot weighing on this, and I think that. Yeah, I think Longstaff, Byrne, even Trippier, I think are going to understand and be able to really, really convey that. Lascelles will too, and even Miley, like people like Lewis Miley are going to be like, I grew up dreaming about this. I never thought we'd get it, because they're not in the Prem, right? And because they're shit. And but yeah, so I like I said, it's not going to be easy. I am confident that we will win it. But it will be, like, in my opinion, one of our harder matches this season.
Here's a good question from Peter. But I thought the FA Cup was going to single rounds now and going to penalties. I don't know if I'll have to look this up. But would you take a draw to get back to St James's Park?
No, just put them away.
You don't need any more matches, man.
Put them away.
There is that side of it, but I'm sure it's either this year or next year. The FA Cup's changing to a bit like what the Carabao Cup is. You play on the night and then you win on the night, sort of thing. So
I'm with you. I know that's happening. I just don't know if that's this season or next.
Yeah, I can't remember.
And look, I would love for that to happen. I would love a derby at St. James Park, but not at the cost of an extra 90 minutes for players when fitness is an issue right now.
Yeah, just go there and take care of them.
Yeah, just take care of business. We don't need 3-0. Let's just dick them and go home.
3-0.
A 5-1 would be good again, wouldn't it? So we can get Sunderland 5-1 in the name again. That would be
Lewis Miley hat trick. I'd love it.
Oh.
Guy wouldn't pay for a drink forever,
Oh God! Well, I mean, he probably wouldn't.
When he was allowed to have a drink, when he's allowed to have
he's not even allowed to get a drink at a bar yet, and he's absolutely owning PSG.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It's absolutely mental. Right, we're coming near to the hour, so I want to ask both of you. John, first of all, what was your favorite moment of being back for the 2 weeks?
Oh, it was it was our first match, and so I had Eddie and Shade with me, and I had my family with me, and we had a dinner the night before that was great. Just getting everybody together. Sorry we missed you on that, Baz, but you did the right thing. You stayed home with your son who had a birthday. But we had a good time.
I'm him being born on that day.
Yeah, I look forward to doing that again. We always get together and have an outing, and then we hit the match. Yeah. But that first match, the way we pounded them, and it was my daughter's first match, that was the highlight. And then I had more highlights the rest of the week. I mean, they just kept rolling. So it was like the best way to kick off the trip.
I love it. Come on, Shade, what was your favorite moment?
So, because I knew you were going to ask me this, right? So I've been thinking about it. And I really think that it's a 3-way tie between 3 different moments for different reasons. My first favorite moment is that first goal at St. James Park, because I've waited so long for a goal. And I know, and I remember that first goal. against Norwich on my first ever match. I remember when it went in the net off Demba Ba, and I remember the stadium erupted. And I remember that I was so addicted to that. And I had a great season that season, and I had a great season the next season, and then we got progressively worse. And then I went 6 years without experiencing that live. And so that first goal meant so much to me. You know, obviously the win and stuff, but so that first goal was one of them. Second moment was a really silly moment, but I was at the Strawberry with John and Eddie, and, you know, and Eddie's one of my best friends in San Diego, and John has become a very special friend in my life too. And my best friend, Joe Bullymore, showed up to have a pint with us too. And I was just sat there having a pint at the Strawberry with three of my favorite people. And, you know, and that was just a special moment because, you know, I never, being somebody that's lived in these two places, it's very rare that I have that kind of experience. Right. Yeah. And so to have a bit of really, like, I look at Newcastle and San Diego as my homes. Right. And
I want to add something. Shade. Joe has come through for you a couple of times in your life. And he had no reason to be at the Strawberry that day, except to be with you.
Yeah.
And there was some stuff going on, you know, and the guy shows up again. So beautiful.
Yeah. He's my brother. He's one of my best friends. So that was really, really special. And then the third's Man United. I mean, this is like, come on. I wanted that so bad, you know? It's a shame that they are where they are on the table because they don't deserve to be anywhere near us. They really don't.
Yeah.
But
I know, you know, and it was just really, really nice to not only beat them, but embarrass them. We embarrassed them.
Let them off the park. Yeah.
They should have gone back to Manchester embarrassed. And I know all their fans down in London went back home as well, embarrassed. But
I hope Alice isn't watching.
It's all in jest, man. It's all banter.
And of course it is.
You know, but yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was that first goal, that moment at Strawberry with three of my favorite people, and then beating Man United.
Nice. Oh, beating Man United's always special. People like, why Man United? I'm like, look, man, I grew up when we blew the title by 13 points and Eric Cantona broke my fucking heart. Yeah. You know what I mean? That goal ruined that season for me. And ever since then, there's been that fire inside of me. Every time I play Man United, it's like, don't get embarrassed. Now we're going to beat them.
Yeah.
We are going to beat them. And
yeah.
I turned up last season when we beat them 2-0. And I met Adam P outside the ground. I said, he came to us and I was like, all right, Adam, nice to see you. And that he's like, what's going to happen today? I went, we're going to win. He's like, what, that easily? I went, yeah, mate, we are going to absolutely hammer these today. I've got this feeling it's going to be 3 or 4-0. We ended up winning 2-0, should have won about 5-0. We should have did what we did to Spurs, what we did to, to Man United. And again, coming up on the train and that, and just thinking, I'm meeting all you guys, going to have a great weekend. We're playing Man United. It's going to be special, but we are going to beat them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was so confident we were going to beat them. There's something now.
Saying that too when we were talking about it before the match. You were so, and I mean, I wasn't as confident with them as Chelsea. But and that scoreline didn't do us justice because should have easily been 4.
Oh yeah,
you know? Easy. But it doesn't matter. Still beat them.
Exactly. I don't know. There's something about playing Man United under the lights. That's St James's Park because it's under the lights as well. That's when we beat them 5-0.
Oh yeah,
you know, we're under the lights on a cold night. You know, and it just that brings back all the memories of that night. And it's just like we've done it again, we've beat them again, and we deserve to win. But it's mint. Yeah. The last question before we go for both is where we're going to finish in the league. I'll start with John.
Ooh, that's tough.
I ask you this every week, and it changes every week.
Yeah, that's tough. You know, I know one thing. We're kind of bouncing around right now, but I think we're going to be strong. January, February, March. I think we're going to be strong. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we end up in 4 or 5. So I'm keeping that alive.
Ooh. What do you think, Shade?
We will finish 4th.
Oh wow!
We
are very confident we're going to finish 4th. Now we're out of Europe. Is that why? Do you think
we're out of Europe? And I'm not happy about it, but it is a burden off our shoulders now, you know?
Yeah.
And it's one less worry. But I think that people are massively underestimating how strong we're going to be the second half of the season. Yeah. And they aren't factoring in that it's like, we were talking about this, Baz, at the pub. It's like, Man City have created a bit of a farmers league these past couple of seasons, right? And the thing with farmers leagues is if that top person slips even a sliver, it opens up so many possibilities for so many other clubs, right? Yeah. Other clubs all of a sudden think they can do more than they can. Other clubs, blink too long and then miss their opportunity. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's 10 points between first place and I'm pretty sure 7th, right? 10 to 12 points, right? Any team, and I know that every fan base will say, oh, no one's going to lose 2 on the drop except for Newcastle. Any team loses 2 in a row, that entire top table shifts. Yeah. And I think we're going to see that for a while right now. And I think that we're going to be a lot stronger. And I think that we're still going to get 4th. We're going to get Europe. We're going to get Champions League again. And we're going to go harder next season.
There's a lot more parity.
I'm an optimist, and I fully take credit for that.
I love it.
Hey, there's a lot more parity this year. Last year, it was like Arsenal, Man City, right? And just forget it. They've run away with it. But this year, anybody's vulnerable.
Yeah. Spurs will still Spurs themselves. Villa's honeymoon will end. Brighton aren't even in the equation anymore, in my opinion.
Liverpool's the one to watch.
Yeah, Liverpool's the one to watch. I don't think Man United are going to do better than they're doing right now.
Oh, definitely not.
It's going to take a lot of work, but I don't see the Man United problems getting fixed this season.
Right.
I don't think that Emery will keep it going all season. I know people will be laughing at me when I'm wrong at the end of the season, but whatever. We're going to finish 4th.
There you go.
Hey, I love it.
But absolutely. I do have to go get back to work.
Yes, we need to finish the show anyway. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
For having me.
Hopefully you can come on in the future again. Where can we find your group again quickly?
Well, you can find the San Diego Mags at the San Diego Mags on Twitter. You can find me at SoCal Jordy on Twitter. If you're in San Diego, come down to the Bluefoot. You've got family there in black and white.
Yes. Love it. And John, we know where John is.
Yeah, I want to get back to San Diego. I gotta get back to San Diego. I gotta find a way.
Yes, you do.
Good time.
Pine on me when you get here, mate. You too, Baz.
Yes, I need to get out. I will find a way of doing it somehow one day. One day soon. It's gonna happen. Right. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right.
Peace out, everyone. And watch it on replay. Do whatever you want to do. But thanks for joining us. Take care.
All right, thank you. Care. Bye. Later, guys.